Hi, I'm Omid, and I will be presenting the topic of Sir William Stephenson, an important Canadian spy and his role in World War II. Let me first start with giving you some background information about Sir William Stephenson. Sir William Samuel Stephenson was born on January 23, 1897. Stephenson was born as William Samuel Cloudston Stanger in Point Douglas, Winnipeg, Manitoba. His mother was from Iceland, and his father was from the Orkney Islands. He took on the last name Stephenson after he was adopted by his Icelandic foster parents when his family could no longer take care of him. Stephenson was a Canadian soldier, airman, businessman, inventor, spymaster, and the senior representative of British intelligence for the entire Western Hemisphere during World War II. William Stephenson was also known by his wartime intelligence codename Intrepid. He was the inspiration for James Bond. In fact, Ian Fleming himself once wrote, "James Bond is a highly romanticized version of a true spy. The real thing is William Stephenson." It may interest you to know a few facts about him, such as his allegiance was to Canada and the United Kingdom. He served in British security coordination. His rank was captain. He participated in both World War I and World War II, and he was only 5 feet 5 inches tall. William Stephenson also received several awards, such as the Knight Bachelor, the Companion of the Order of Canada, the Military Cross, the Distinguished Flying Cross, and the Medal for Merit. I'll explain why he received some of these awards throughout the rest of the presentation. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of his service in World War I. In World War I, he volunteered for service in the 101st Overseas Battalion, Winnipeg Light Infantry, Canadian Expeditionary Force in 1916. He was soon transferred to the Canadian Engineer Depot and was promoted to sergeant in May 1917. By June 1917, he was flying with the cadet wing of the Royal Flying Corps at Denham Barracks, Buckinghamshire. He was posted to the 73rd Squadron in February 1918, where he flew the Sopwith Camel biplane fighter and scored 12 victories to become a flying ace. He was shot down and crashed his plane behind enemy lines in July 1918. Stephenson was injured by fire from a German ace pilot, or friendly fire from a French observer, or by both. When he was captured by the Germans, he was held as a prisoner of war until he managed to escape in October 1918. By the end of World War I, Stephenson had achieved the rank of captain. He had earned the Military Cross and the Distinguished Flying Cross. The story goes that he received the Military Cross for flying low and observing an open-stack car on a road. He attacked it with such success that later it was seen lying in a ditch upside down. During the same flight, he caused a stampede among some enemy transport horses on a road. Previous to this, he had destroyed a hostile scout and a 2-seater plane. His work has been of the highest order and has shown the greatest courage and energy in engaging every kind of target. Also, it was said that he received the Distinguished Flying Cross for having shown conspicuous gallantry and skill in attacking enemy troops and transports from low altitudes, causing heavy casualties. His reports also have contained valuable and precise information. He has further proved himself a keen antagonist in the air, having during recent operations accounted for 6 enemy aeroplanes. Between wars, Stephenson was extremely busy building his wealth, business, and contacts. After World War I, before he was 30 years old, he had become a millionaire with businesses in the manufacture of radios, phonographs, automobiles, and airplanes. He was also in the construction, real estate, and steel businesses, and he had invented the first device for sending photographs by radio. He started his riches with a business inspired by a can opener that Stephenson had taken from his prisoner of war camp. He soon became wealthy, and through his businesses, Stephenson had a large number of industrial contacts in Europe, Britain, and North America, as well as a large group of contacts in the international film industry. When Hitler was preparing for World War II, William Stephenson, under cover of his own business operations in Germany, gathered information on Nazi steel, arms, and munitions production, and gave the information to Churchill. Stephenson's tremendous service during World War II is as follows. After World War II began, in 1940 Churchill sent Stephenson to New York with the title of British Passports Control Officer. He was to secretly establish and run British Security Coordination, or BSC, in New York City before U.S. entered the war. After the U.S. got into the war, he became British Security Coordinator for the Western Hemisphere. Stephenson's directives for BSC were to investigate enemy activities, institute security measures against sabotage to British property, and turn American public opinion in favor of helping Britain. Later, he was to get the assurance of American participation to collaborate with the British. Stephenson advised Roosevelt to put his good friend William J. Donovan in charge of all U.S. intelligence services. Donovan founded the U.S. Office of Strategic Services, or OSS, which in 1947 would become the Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA. Stephenson served as a link between Churchill and Roosevelt. He supervised the training of Americans for intelligence work and operated a spying network that uncovered activities of Axis agents in South America. He provided valuable information to Washington and London on the movements of Vichy French operatives. As senior representative of British intelligence in the Western Hemisphere, Stephenson was authorized to view raw ultra transcripts of the German Enigma ciphers that had been decrypted. He was trusted by Churchill to decide what ultra information to pass along to various branches of the U.S. and Canadian governments. Another interesting agreement he had was with all transatlantic mail from the USA, which was routed through the British colony of Bermuda. Airmails carried by both British and American aircraft were landed at Raft-Darrells Island and delivered to centers of British Imperial Censorship, part of BSC. They examined letters for secret communications and then resealed them. BSC, working with the FBI, discovered and arrested a number of Axis spies operating in the U.S. Stephenson, through the BSC, directly influenced U.S. media and media in other hemisphere countries to be pro-British and anti-Axis. Once the U.S. entered the war in 1941, BSC trained U.S. propagandists from the U.S. Office of War Information in Canada. Stephenson also set up Camp X by BSC in Whitby, Ontario, the first training school in Canada and North America. Around 2,000 British, Canadian, and American covert operators were trained there from 1941 to 1945. Students were from ISU, OSS, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, United States Navy and Military Intelligence, and the United States Office of War Information. One of the Camp X graduates may have included Ian Fleming, who was the author of the James Bond books. An interesting theory was that the fictional Goldfinger's raid on Fort Knox was inspired by Stephenson's plan, which was never carried out, to steal $2.9 billion in Vichy French gold reserves from the French Caribbean colony of Martinique. After World War II, Stephenson claimed his job was 80% paperwork. In 1946, the British honored him with a knighthood and the Americans presented him the Medal for Merit, which was at the time the United States' highest civilian award. The medal citation was signed by Truman, and it said, "Sir William gave timely and invaluable aid to the American war effort." Sir William, after the war, joined with several wartime associates to form the World Commerce Corporation, which provided tools, machinery, and technical information to developing countries to set up industries. After a lifetime of valuable service, Sir William Stephenson passed away on January 31, 1989, and was buried in Bermuda. At the time of his passing, he was survived by a daughter and a granddaughter. I found it very interesting researching the life and service of Sir William Stephenson, codenamed Intrepid. He risked his life in so many ways and served in both world wars. After researching his service as a spy, it is easy to see why he would have inspired stories like James Bond.